Assalamualaikum and a very good day to our respected lecturer, professional biologists, Siti, Nafisah and fellow classmates. I am Nurul, Azzah, Nathasyah, and today we will be presenting our occupational safety and health study entitled Night Shift Fatigue Among Nurses. When we think about workplace hazards, we often imagine dangerous chemicals, heavy machinery, or construction sites. However, not all hazards are visible. In healthcare, one of the most serious occupational hazards is fatigue. It not only affects the health and well-being of nurses, but also increases the risk of medical errors that may compromise patient safety. Throughout this presentation, we will analyze the causes of occupational fatigue, assess its risk using OSHA principles, discuss relevant measure legislation, and propose practical strategies to reduce this workplace hazard. Our case study focuses on acute care hospital wards where healthcare services operate continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Unlike many other professions, nurses cannot simply stop working when they become tired. Hospitals must provide uninterrupted care to patients regardless of their time of day. As a result, nurses often work rotating shifts, including overnight duties, extended working hours, overtime, and emergency calls-ins. This working condition exposes nurses to both physical and psychological demands. They must remain highly alert while performing complex clinical tasks, communicating with multidisciplinary teams, responding to emergencies, and making critical decisions under time pressure. When these demanding responsibilities are combined with insufficient rest and disrupted sleep patterns, occupational fatigue becomes an important workplace safety concern.
Before analyzing the risk, it is important to understand what occupational fatigue actually means. Occupational fatigue is inability to perform work tasks due to the constant feeling of tiredness. It is caused by shift work, repetitive occupations, extended waking hours, and long working hours with minimal or irregular sleep. Human bodies are naturally programmed to sleep during the night. When nurses work throughout the night and attempt to sleep during the day, they often experience poor sleep quality and accumulate what is known as sleep debt. Over time, this sleep debt reduces concentration, slows reaction time, affects memory, and increases the likelihood of making mistakes. After identifying the problem, we can now classify the hazard associated with night shift fatigue using occupational safety and health principles. The first category is the psychosocial hazard. Night shift nurses experience high mental demands, emotional stress from caring for critically ill patients, heavy workloads, and prolonged sleep deprivation. These factors contribute to chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout. The second category is ergonomic hazard. Nurses spend long hours standing, walking between patients, lifting equipment, and assisting with patient handling. Without adequate opportunities to rest, physical fatigue gradually accumulates and increases the risk of musculoskeletal disorder. Finally is the physical hazard. Continuous exposure to bright artificial lighting, hospital alarms, and frequent interruptions throughout the night interferes with the body's natural sleep-wake cycle. These environmental factors make it more difficult for nurses to recover properly between shifts. Now that we have identified the hazards, the next step is to evaluate their level of risk using the HIRARC framework, which stands for Hazard Identification, Risk Assessment, and Risk Control. This framework is widely used in Malaysia to assess workplace hazards systematically. In our case study, occupational fatigue among night shift nurses is assessed as a high-risk hazard. The likelihood is considered high because nurses frequently work rotating shift, overtime, and overnight duties. These working conditions make fatigue a common and recurring issue rather than isolated event. The severity is also high because fatigue can contribute to medication errors, delay emergency responses, incorrect clinical decision, workplace injuries, and even patient fatalities in severe situations. When both the likelihood and severity are considered together, fatigue represents a significant occupational safety risk that requires immediate control measures rather than simply relying on workers to manage their own tiredness. To understand why this problem continues to occur, we perform a root cause analysis using the fishbone or Ishikawa diagram. The first contributing factor is staffing shortage. When there are insufficient nurses on duty, existing staff are often required to work overtime or cover additional shifts, increasing physical and mental exhaustion. The second factor is scheduling. Consecutive night shift, long working hours, and inadequate recovery time between shifts prevent nurses from obtaining sufficient restorative sleep. The third factor involves the working environment itself. Bright artificial lighting, continuous alarm sounds, emergency situations, and high patient workloads create constant physical and psychological demands throughout the shift. These findings show that occupational fatigue is not caused by individual weakness. Instead, it results from organizational and workplace factors that require systematic management and continuous improvement.
So for impact on nurses, occupational fatigue seriously affects nurses' health and well-being. In the short term, fatigue can reduce concentration, slow reaction time, affect memory, and weaken decision making. Nurses may also experience headache, irritability, low motivation, and physical exhaustion, making clinical tasks harder to perform safely. Over time, chronic fatigue can lead to more serious health problems such as burnout, depression, cardiovascular disease, weakened immunity, and musculoskeletal issues. These effects can lower nurses' quality of life and increase absenteeism, reduce productivity, and contribute to higher staff turnover in healthcare organizations. On patient safety, occupational fatigue not only affects healthcare workers but also directly impacts patient safety. Fatigue nurses are more likely to lose focus, make solid decisions, and experience communication errors. This increases the risk of medication mistakes, delay emergency responses, and inaccurate patient assessments. For example, a fatigue nurse may give medication to the wrong patient or miss important changes in patient's condition. Therefore, managing fatigue is essential not only to protect nurses but also to ensure patient safety and maintain quality healthcare. Occupational fatigue also creates major challenges for healthcare organizations. It can increase absenteeism, staff turnover, and procurement costs. Hospitals may also face reduced productivity, lower staff morale, and financial losses from workplace incidents or related issues. Repeated medical errors can damage the hospital's reputation and reduce public trust in healthcare services. Therefore, fatigue management should be treated as an organizational safety priority, not just individual responsibility.
After understanding the hazards and their impacts, we will now examine the legal responsibilities of employers in managing occupational fatigue. Individual workplace safety is governed by the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994, commonly known as OSHA 1994, together with its subsequent amendments. This legislation places a legal duty on employers to ensure, as far as is reasonably practicable, the safety, health, and welfare of employees while they are at work. With the enforcement of the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Act 2022, this legal responsibility has grown even stricter, explicitly shifting the national focus from merely preventing physical workplace accidents to actively protecting worker health and chronic illness. Under Section 18B of this updated law, employers are now under a mandatory legal obligation to conduct comprehensive risk assessment at their workplace, meaning that overlooking known operational stresses like extreme fatigue is now a direct breach of compliance. For hospitals, this responsibility extends beyond providing personal protective equipment or maintaining medical facilities. Hospitals management must also identify workplace hazards such as excessive working hours, inadequate staffing, and fatigue caused by prolonged night shifts. This is critical because unmanaged fatigue directly drives up the risk of occupational illness and chronic health conditions among healthcare workers, which have seen as a significant rise in recent years. Furthermore, under Section 52 of the Amendment Act, company directors and hospitals entities can now be held personally liable and face heavy penalties alongside the organization if they fail to show due diligence in mitigating this operational hazard. Therefore, employers should implement appropriate control measures to minimize this risk and provide a working environment that supports both employees' well-being and patient safety. Besides national legislation, hospitals are also guided by professional standards and international best practices. One important reference is the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, or DOSH, which promotes systematic hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control in workplace, which is HIRARC. Hospitals can utilize specific national frameworks such as the DOSH guidelines and Occupational Safety and Health for healthcare facilities to systematically identify fatigue-inducing shadows. Hospitals may also adopt ISO 45001:2018, the International Standard for Occupational Health and Safety Management System. This standard encourages organizations to continuously identify workplace risks, improve safety performance, and promote workers' physical and mental well-being. By aligning with Clause 6.1.2 of ISO 45001, healthcare organizations are urged to look beyond immediate physical dangers and proactively assess psychosocial hazards, including work-life pressures, shift work configurations, and fatigue. For healthcare professionals, specifically recommendations from organizations such as the International Council of Nurses, or ICN, also emphasize effective fatigue management, adequate staffing levels, and safe working hours to improve both employee well-being and patient outcomes.
Now that we understand the legal responsibilities, the next step is determining how hospitals can effectively control this hazard. According to occupational safety health principles, workplace hazard should be controlled using the hierarchy of controls. Since hospital cannot eliminate night shift completely, the focus should be on reducing the risk through engineering and administrative controls. Engineering controls may include providing quiet and comfortable staff rest areas where nurses can take scheduled breaks during long shift. Administrative controls are equally important. Hospitals should design fair shift schedules, limit excessive overtime, avoid too many consecutive night shifts, and ensure sufficient recovery time between shifts. Regular fatigue awareness training can also help nurses recognize early signs of fatigue and encourage them to report concerns before safety is affected. Although personal protective equipment or PPE is essential for many healthcare hazards, it does not eliminate fatigue. Therefore, organizational control measures remain the most effective approach.
Based on our analysis, we propose 4 key recommendations. First, hospitals should implement fatigue management programs with proper scheduling and curricular staff well-being monitoring. Second, healthcare organizations should maintain adequate staffing levels to reduce excessive workloads and overtime. Third, hospitals should promote an open reporting culture on nurses can raise fatigue-related concerns without fear. Finally, fatigue should be included in every hospital's occupational safety and health risk assessment to identify risk, improve control measures, and ensure continuous monitoring. These recommendations can improve employee well-being while supporting safer and higher quality patient care. To conclude, occupational fatigue among night shift nurses is more than just feeling tired after work. It is serious occupational safety and health hazard that affect nurses, patient safety, and healthcare organizations. Through this case study, we identified that the major hazards, assess the risk using HIRARC, discuss contributing factors, relevant legislation, and practical control measures. Ultimately, a safe hospital is not only about protecting patients, but also the healthcare workers who care for them every day. As the saying goes, a safer workplace creates safer patient care. Thank you for your attention. We hope this presentation has provided valuable insight into the importance of managing occupational fatigue in healthcare settings.